Welcome to Hire Power, the show where we cut through the noise and get real about hiring. I'm Kim Frost, founder of Frost Connections, and after 25 plus years in the search industry, I've seen what works and what absolutely doesn't. If you're a founder, CEO, VP, or HR leader who's tired of bad hires and ready to build a team that actually fits your culture and vision, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Hire Power. I'm Kim Frost. Today, I'm going to focus on a phrase I hear all the time. I hire off my gut, or I'll know it when I see it. Here's the thing. Successful leaders don't just rely on their gut. They know how to balance instinct with structure. They've learned that hiring is too important, too costly, to leave it up to a feeling in your stomach. So, is hiring off culture fit and culture fit alone legit? I'll never forget one of my corporate jobs when I had to deliver feedback to a candidate we weren't moving forward with. The hiring manager told me they're not a cultural fit. So, I shared that with the candidate. What else could I say? That was really all I could go on. Of course, I was a rookie then. But here's what the candidate said to me. How do they know I'm a cultural fit? They barely know me after an hour interview. And that always stuck with me. But you know what? They were right. It was a fair point. It taught me an important lesson. One is stop giving the feedback of not a cultural fit. It's lazy, it's vague, and honestly, it tells the candidate nothing. And more importantly, it tells me, the recruiter, nothing. Because again, how can I hire off of my clients or my manager's cultural fit? But let's really talk what's behind those words. How many times have you heard a leader say, when you ask how they'll know if someone's the right hire, they'll say, I know it in my gut. Okay, in all fairness, how do I know that? How does your team know it if you can't articulate it? Honestly, sometimes when I hear this, I question if that hiring manager knows what they need. Because if you can't articulate it, how are you going to identify it? You can tell I cringe a little bit every time I hear that. Because think about this. How does that translate into actual skills and talent? What if your stomach is upset that day? What if you skip breakfast? Is that indigestion or is that your hiring instinct? Okay, I'm kidding, but you get my point. Your gut does matter. Our instincts are built from years of experience, interactions, and patterns we've seen play out. Some even call it women's intuition. And I'll admit, I believe in that. Women's intuition is real. Many of us can pick up on these subtle cues, body language, tone of voice, energy in the room. Sometimes it's spot on, but sometimes it's not. And most importantly, it's not a substitute for evidence. Same goes for first impressions. We all have them. And while they matter, there's only one first time, and it happens in a millisecond. You can walk into a room, shake a hand, and you're already forming judgments. But here's the danger. First impressions can get sticky. They can cloud how you interpret everything else that person says or does. If you don't slow down and test those impressions against structured, fair questions, you risk making a permanent decision on a fleeting feeling. And the best leaders know this. You don't hire just off your gut, and you don't hire only off of a checklist of technical skills. You need to combine them. You need to ask the right questions. You need to test for how the candidate thinks, how they solve problems, and how they'll behave in real situations. And yes, definitely pay attention to that subtle sense you get when someone either resonates with your culture or clashes with it. Here's the key difference. Gut isn't the first filter. Structure is. Fair, consistent, applicable questions are. If you don't do that, your gut can lead you astray, can lead you into bias, assumptions, and mishires that cost you time and money. So next time you catch yourself saying, I'll know it in my gut, stop and ask, how am I really assessing this person? Am I digging deep enough into my questions? Am I being fair? Let's be honest. Sometimes we say, do I really want to be here? Because that can be no. Or am I just outsourcing the decision to my stomach? Intuition, first impressions, gut instinct, they all have their place. But great leaders, they balance instinct with structure. They use their gut as a second opinion and not the only one. Because at the end of the day, the best hires aren't made in your stomach. They're made by asking the right questions, listening to real answers, and being disciplined enough not to fall for the easy shortcut of, I just know. And there is a subtle difference, right, between hiring off your gut and hiring to your corporate values, or I'm air quoting here, culture. That's a big difference there. So, one is you need to identify what those values are. Two is your team needs to know what those values are. And yes, you can definitely interview off those values. And I'll be talking about that more in the upcoming episodes. So, trust your gut, but verify it. That's where the real leadership magic happens. Until next time, lead with clarity, hire with confidence, and maybe grab a snack before you interview. It always helps. That's it for this episode of Hire Power. If you're ready to hire smarter, connect with me at frostconnections.com or at LinkedIn at Kim Frost. And if you've got something to say about today's episode, follow the show and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, hire smart, lead better, and remember, how you hire is who you become. See you next week. No fluff, just better hires.